Today we're going to be working on how to create an equation of a line given 2 points. Now there's two different ways that we can create your equation of a line given 2 points. We can either use the equation y equals mx plus b, which is your slope-intercept form, or you can use your point slope form. Again, this is just given 2 points. So I'll kind of alternate between the two, and then it's up to you to figure out which one that you like to do. So I'll pause the video here to give you all of these that we'll work through. And then on the next page, you have another few to work on. And I'm going to show the answer key here in a moment. So let's look at this one. It says, what is the equation of a line that passes through the coordinates 2, 7, and 0, 1? So what we can go ahead and do is just go ahead and label x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now it doesn't matter which one you use as x2, y2, or x2, y2, x1, y1, but the reason for that is that we first and foremost need to find your slope. So your slope being m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is your slope, and it's always kind of the same. For number one, we have to find the slope. So for us, our slope, we're going to say y2, which I've labeled as 1, minus y1, which I've labeled as 7, over 0 minus 2. So we can go ahead and subtract. So we get -6 over -2, which makes 3. So our slope here is equal to 3. So that is step 1. So now we can go into these points here, but if they've given us your y-intercept, so in our case, if they've given us b within one of your points, we can go ahead and make the equation of your line. So noticing that here we have 0, 1. This happens to be your y-intercept. We know it to be your y-intercept because y-intercepts is anytime your graph touches the y-axis. So at this point, notice that if we're trying to go from this point, we always start at our origin. And no matter where it is on your y-axis, we either move down or move up, but we're not moving side to side. So your x value is always going to be 0. So in our case, this first one, y-intercept is already given. So we can take your slope, which we said is 3x plus 1. Now let's say they didn't give it to us, or let's say that we didn't recognize we had your y-intercept. So one of your methods, we can use your equation, y equals mx plus b. We now have your slope to be 3, and we also have some points. It doesn't matter which point that you plug in. I might choose to plug in 2, 7, or if you want, you can plug in 0, 1. It does not matter which point you do. But other than just recognizing that whichever point you take, we have we have your x value and a y value given. We can go ahead and replace what we know. So we can go ahead and replace your m. We can replace your x as 0 or as 2 if you prefer. And then you could replace your y value here, or again, if you prefer the other point. It just can only be one point to plug in, and then we're going to find b. So we can say 1 is equal to 3 times 0 plus b. Again, this being your y, your m, and your x. Then we can solve. So 3 times 0 is just 0 plus b. So b is equal to what? Or if you prefer, you can use the other point. You could use 7 is equal to 3 times 2, plus b. 7 is equal to 6 plus b. Subtracting 6 from both sides, b is equal to 1. So you'll notice that you're going to get the same answer no matter what. Now, once you find your y-intercept, let me just go ahead and highlight just in case you use the other one. So once you find your y-intercept, the last thing that we're going to do, step 3, is to create the equation. So we have y equals mx plus b. We have m to be 3. We have b to be 1. Y is equal to 3x plus 1. Now, we do not need to use your x and your y here because they're going to stand for variables. We can pick any point that we want and plug it in for the future. Now, if you prefer an alternate one, so step 2, instead, if you wanted to use y minus y1 is equal to x minus x1, or sorry, x minus x1, we're just going to pick whichever point. So again, you can pick your x value and put it in, your y value and plug it in, and we have your m. So if we wanted to do 2, 7, so we have y minus 7 is equal to 3 times x minus 2. We can then go ahead and convert. So step number 3 would be to convert to y equals mx plus b. We can do so by distributing 3x minus 6, and adding 7. So then we get y is equal to 3x plus 1. That is, if you prefer using that formula instead. Now let's try it again with number 2. So again, we're given 2 points. I'll just label them really quickly. Again, it doesn't matter which point we label as x1, y1, x2, y2. But again, we need to find the slope, your m, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've labeled it as 3 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. So you have 3 over negative 2. So your slope here comes out to be a fraction. That's perfectly fine. Step 2, let's find your b, mx plus b. We have m to be negative 3 over 2. And then whichever point you like, we can go ahead and plug in. I might choose the point 3, 0. And I'm just going to plug it right into our equation. We have x here. We have 3 here. So we have 3 is equal to m times x plus b. Now you'll notice that sometimes certain points are better than others when you go to plug them in, because when we multiply 0 times your slope, we'll just get b to be equal to 3. So step number 3. Y equals mx plus b. We have m to be negative 3 over 2. We have b to be 3. So we can create your equation of a line. And I'll just do it one more time. If you chose to do your slope, point slope form, I'll choose the same point. It doesn't matter. So we have y minus 3 is equal to your slope, negative 3 over 2, x minus 0. So I'm going to use your point, the same one that we did from last time. Fit that right in. Go ahead and distribute. You'll notice that we'll get 0 times that, which is going to be 0. We can add 3 to the other side. And there you have it. Now let's try it again with 3 and 4. And notice that This one is again your y-intercept. So we don't have to go through this stuff unless you want to. As long as you can recognize that anytime your x value is 0 and your y value is a certain number, that is going to be your y-intercept. So let's try it again. So let's quickly label. So we have 6 minus 2 over 7 minus our -1. So we have a -1, but we also have a minus sign, which then the double negative, when we multiply it together, will make a positive. So we really have 4 over 8, which is then 1/2. So you have m is equal to 1/2. So step number 2, we have y is equal to mx plus b. M is equal to 1/2. Your point, it doesn't matter which point that you choose. I might choose -1 and 2. And we can go ahead and plug these values in. So 2 is equal to 1/2 times -1 plus b. 2 is equal to -1/2 plus b. Add 1/2 to the other side. B is equal to 2, or 2 over 1, because we're working with fractions. Now we have to combine your fractions, but before we do so, we need a common denominator, this being 2. So we get 4 over 2 plus 1 over 2, making 5 over 2. So step number 3, we can do y equals mx plus b. We have your m, we have your b, and we can work it into the equation. Now, if you preferred the point slope form, it doesn't matter, I'll plug in your same point again. 1/2 x minus a -1. Going ahead and distributing in. Adding that 2 to the other side. So again, we'll come up with the same response. We'll try just these last two. x1, y1, x2, y2. So we have number 1, find slope. And I recommend writing the equation of the slope each and every time. If we have a hard time remembering equations, that will definitely help. So we have 4 over 2, which makes 2. So your m here is 2. Number 2, find b. That is if you wish to use y equals mx plus b, where we now have your equation. We have 1, 1 as your point. We can go ahead and plug that in. In step 3. And there you go. Hopefully I did not go too fast. Let's see, just double checking my work. 5 minus 1, 3 minus 1. So that's 4 over 2. So that's 2. All right, let's keep going for the last one. x1, y1, x2, y2. Number 1, find slope. get 1/1. So m is equal to 1 here. Step 2, find b. I'm going to choose the point 1, 3. It just looks nicer to me. So you have 3 is equal to 1 times 1 plus b. 3 is equal to 1 plus b. 2 is equal to b. Create equation. Yeah, 1, b is 2, y equals mx plus b. And there you go. If you're enjoying the point slope, we can put that in as well. Oh, hold on, something happened. Oh, back up, back up. Made a mistake somewhere. Let's see if I can figure out. Oh, because I reversed it. Your slope is 1. Your point is 1. Okay, 3, 1. There we go. Plus 2. All right, hopefully that video was informative. Again, you have a whole other page to keep practicing on, and then the answer keys here.